Good morning or good afternoon, I think. Yes, 1 o'clock. I'd like to welcome everyone to All Access Belize. This is your place where you can ask any of your questions about Belize. No questions dumb. It's all educational and I'm here to help you any way I can. I'm coming to you today from Mahogany Bay Village in Ambergris Key. It's a warm, not too warm, but it's a 76 degrees compared to where some of y'all are. I'm sure it's a little warmer. It's December 8th, and we have Jessica and Yolanda. They're helping me in the back end, so they're going to help promote your questions to where I can see and read them. Before we get to some questions, just a brief little update on what COVID's doing. I know a lot of people believe it's overhyped or not hyped enough, but just to kind of give you, whether you believe what's going on or not, the total cases as of yesterday, December 7th in Belize is 7,953. Of those cases, 4,010 are active. The rest have all been recovered. And then we have had 176 deaths. The majority of those, for the total lifespan of COVID since February, which we didn't get COVID here until probably April or May. It was kind of late. We were one of the last countries to get COVID. The Belize district has the majority, then Orange Walk, Cayo, Corozal, Stand Creek, and then Toledo has the least. Most of these are concentrated in little rural villages, not in except for Belize City. Belize City has quite a few. So again, it's all still pretty safe. We've talked to quite a few of our clients that are buying right now, and they've all said that they feel safer here rather than in the States. We do have a mandatory mask, so you have to wear a mask whenever you're out. However, you don't have to if you are in a car by yourself or with somebody of your own in your own family. But if you're like in a taxi or you're with friends or something, you're supposed to wear a mask. You do have to wear a mask if you're in a golf cart, but you don't have to wear a mask if you are riding a bike, exercising. I mean, riding a bike, you're supposed to, but exercising, you don't have to. Also, just everything's open for the most part. A lot of the discotheques are still closed, but hairdressers are open. The gyms, I think the gyms are still closed because we had kind of a spread when they were open, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I will double check that, and on the next month's call, I will definitely update everyone on that. However, now it's pretty easy to come. Just want to kind of go over some of the steps. I just went to Dallas for a meetup with my mentor group and my investment group, and it was pretty easy. I landed back in Belize at 12 o'clock, and by 12:45, I was already at Tropic Air waiting for my flight back to San Pedro. So it was pretty easy. I did not take the PCR test 72 hours before coming to Belize. I opted to take the test here in Belize. I just didn't want to pay $300 something for a PCR test in Dallas. And then it was a pretty speedy process. I was in and out, got through customs and everything. If you are coming to Belize, you would have to bring your PCR test or take one here. The problem is if you take one here and you're positive, you have to be quarantined in a hotel for a couple of weeks at your expense. If I ended up getting it in the States, and I could quarantine. I have a house in Placencia and I have a house in San Pedro. So I would be at one of those wherever my family was not. And I could even quarantine with my family as long as I, stay 6 feet apart, wear the mask and things like that, which is what they want you to do. So that's kind of the update on COVID. We are starting to see a lot of, starting to see some tourists coming in. We have direct flights now from LA and Denver starting, I think, this week or next week. And, it's starting to be pretty cool. Mahogany Bay, which is the largest resort in Belize, we open up tomorrow, and I'm the sales manager here. I am also a broker owner of Remax First Choice Belize, and I have a passive investment company where I help people diversify in hard assets, with alternatives to the stock market. However, none of that matters because nothing is for sale on here. It's just educational purposes only. So again, want to welcome everyone. And Paul sent in a question about what, if any, improvements have been in the overall healthcare system in Belize in the last 3 years. Cite some specific examples if they exist. So again, just before I answer that, you can type your questions in the question and answer box, which is at the bottom, and I will be able to see that. And if there's no questions, then Jessica can pop some in, but I'm sure, with a group this size, we'll probably have some questions. So feel free to ask questions, even if I answered them before, I'll answer them again. So in the last 3 years, healthcare is continually to grow and is getting better and better. However, with a country of 400,000 plus or minus, it's never going to be like Merida or Guatemala City or the US by any means. However, in the last 3 years, St. Luke's is a private hospital in Belmopan. I've used it once or twice, just for routine checkups, and I loved it. I've also heard a lot of positive feedback from people who have been there. In Ambergris Key, last year, 2020, this year, either late last year or beginning of this year, we ended up opening, Belize Medical Associates opened up a hospital here. So it is a private hospital, and it's got a staffed doctor here, and they do have specialists come in, like my pediatrician for my son. My sons are there, and they come every Wednesday. So my pediatrician comes, or my son's pediatrician comes on this Wednesday, another one comes the following Wednesday. An OBGYN comes, psychiatrist comes, and there's some other, other people that come as well. And then we still have a couple of the health cares. We still have a couple of the private hospitals as well. I feel the healthcare is definitely getting better, for sure. But it's still not, and it's up to whatever you're comfortable with. I personally would rather go to Merida. I've done a few things in, I had a lipoma, I had the skin cancer I had done in Belize. And I was totally happy with that. My lipoma I did in Mexico, and it was probably half the price of Belize. And I was pretty happy with that. Kevin asked, in the hurricane and rain aftermath, are there areas to stay away from? Select areas of travel, difficulty, road closures. Not really. I guess it depends on where you're coming from, where you're going. I was in Placencia last week, and the road on the Northern Highway between Belize City and heading to Belmopan, there was still some water on the street, and I'm putting not a package, but I'm putting a video together. I did some video clips so you could see it. And they're still passable, right? Just you have to slow down. It's not like, you can't go through it or anything like that. Going to Spanish Lookout, that one is back up. And like I have a client today, went and ordered his Mennonite house in Spanish Lookout. So I'm looking forward to talking to him and seeing how that is, but I heard it was open. So a lot of the water is still moving south toward Belize City. And so there's still some low-lying areas, but most of the areas are fine. Some of the roads in San Pedro are pretty, got a lot of potholes, but not that you can't go through it with a golf cart or anything like that. So it's all, it's all still pretty good, and it's drying out pretty fast. We had a little bit of rain the last couple of days in San Pedro, but it's been pretty dry. I was in Placencia all last week, and I'm going to Placencia next week, and it's pretty dry, looking pretty good. If there's a specific area, let me know, and I can try to find out. Regarding beach properties, has there been erosion problems? If so, what areas? A lot of the hurricanes that came were from the northern section. So actually our beach areas have grown. And I'm talking Placencia mainly because that's where I saw the beach erosion that was going on has now gained back a few feet from a couple properties I have listed or clients that have properties. There's still, erosion. It's always, it's always a moving thing, right? You're always going to get some erosion and you're always going to get it back. But over the last couple years, we have seen a little more than normal. Whether you want to believe in, global warming or not, it is something that we've been seeing. So it is something to consider. In some remote areas, Kevin's asking, which only has boat accessibility can you get by walking the beach? Not sure I understand that question. If you want to be promoted, Jessica can promote you live and we can kind of go over that. There's some areas that are boat access only, like Punta Negra. There's some Monkey River Town. Those are all boat access, Commerce Bite. They're all boat access only beach areas. Once you're there, for the most part, you can walk the beach. But you have to get there, and there is some growth, right? Like Punta Negra, especially, there's growth pretty much all the way in some areas, all the way to the water. But you still can walk, a decent amount. So I hope I understood that, Kevin. If not, just clarify it. And again, if you want to be promoted, we can discuss that. Can you please go over any COVID protocols I may have missed earlier traveling at the end of the month? Yes, we did go over it earlier, but I'll kind of run it down again, and then this will be back on the, this will be, we're going to do some editing, and then it'll be on my YouTube channel. But basically, you have to download the BTB Health app. You have to put in your information. You have to stay at a gold standard hotel. Excuse me. You have to stay at a gold standard hotel, and you have to come with a PCR test that's within 72 hours. They suggest. If you don't want to bring a 72-hour PCR test, you can take one here. It's $50 US, and it takes 30 minutes to get the test done and get your results, and then you're on your way. But like I mentioned earlier, if you are positive, if you come here positive, I'm sure you could take the test again, because we've heard of these false positives. You could take the test again and see, but if not, you'll be quarantined into a hotel that they have set up, and it will be at your expense for a couple weeks. But everything's open for the most part. Tourists are walking around. You just have to wear your mask wherever you go. If you're in the public, if you're with family, you're fine. So Rob said, what is the stance on expats working in Belize? If you buy a business, can you work it or hands off? How long do you have to live in Belize to be employable? So very good question. The government of Belize is very tolerable to, they're wanting businesses started. They're wanting, so if you're coming here to open a business, they're very favorable of that. Of course, you have to get a work permit. Technically, you should be here, I believe it's around 6 months. And then you could start the work process pretty much a few months in, and then you can get the work permit. It usually takes, depending on if you do it yourself, if you hire a facilitator. We personally use somebody to just run it through the process, and she goes with us to all the meetings, the interviews, things like that. But she deals with all the paperwork because she lives in that area. So if they need you to bring a paperwork, you don't have to drive a couple hours, to Belmopan or wherever. And plus, she has a relationship with these people. We're not doing anything illegal. We're not buying a work permit, per se. We just have a facilitator that kind of helps us through the process. You can do it yourself. I've done one myself. I've hired a facilitator myself back in the day. But when I was getting a work permit, it was a lot easier. Whereas, now I'm a Belize citizen, so I don't need to deal with that. But there is a process, Rob, you're more than happy to reach out, and I can send you the application. You'll have to bring a background check from where you live, and it has to be pretty new, and then a few pictures, things like that. So reach out to me. Jessica will drop my email in the chat box. So if y'all need to ask me any questions offline, you can. But yeah, you definitely can work it. The government understands that, a new business, you have to, probably do some stuff yourself, and then, you'll hire. Like I have a couple businesses myself here, and, we employ people. We've had to reduce some hours and shut down some. One of my businesses is a gift shop. Where we had 3 people. It was a pretty new business. We opened in January. We shut it down. We're opening back up tomorrow. Yeah, so, the government is very much willing to work with you on that. Kevin, do you see the COVID limitations being lifted after the first of the year? At the rate we're going, I don't think so. Belizeans are, with not just Belizeans, but I think a lot of people are just tired. They're tired of being cooped up in the house, and they're going out, so we've had a surge. I mean, the numbers we went over earlier, we have 4,000 active cases right now, 4,010. That was, minuscule. We had like 10 deaths, literally just like a few months ago. And so we've had a surge in deaths and in active cases because people are going over to Mexico and buying stuff and bringing it over illegally, because they're, jumping the border and they're spreading it. So I don't think it is with the amount of increases we're getting. The tourists are not bringing it in. I think we've had like 2 or 3 confirmed cases, and they weren't tourists. They were more second homeowners, people who have bought property here that were coming to check on their property. So I think it's fine. But I do think it's going to be a little longer. Just to kind of, what I'm hearing is we're starting to see, like Mahogany Bay has around 4 people coming in tomorrow when they open up. And then it's going to gradually increase for Christmas to over 50%. And New Year is going to be almost sold out, if not sold out already. And I'm hearing that throughout the area. The planes are coming in full. Again, I just came back I went to Dallas. I came back. The plane was full. I'm asking my clients, and their planes are full. but it's not going to be like what it was, because a lot less flights. We lost our Canadian flights because, Canadians have to, they have to quarantine for 2 weeks when they go back. We also lost WestJet, but the Southwest, it's not starting up till I think March. So the borders, the land borders, I don't see them opening up anytime soon. So you're going to have to come in through the PGIA. Do you see COVID? Okay, recent prisoner escapes. Has many other half somewhat concerned with safety. Also keeps reading the normal crimes. I'm looking to find a property in Stan Creek, possibly the Toledo district. Major concerns regarding safety. Can you highlight or yes? That's a very good question. And it's one I've talked about before, and I talk about many times. Majority, if not all, I think there was, last I heard, there was 3 of the escapees left to be captured. I think they have been caught. I will double check that and I can put it out. Escapees, and I'll let y'all know for sure. But I think everybody's been caught. They pretty much, all of them were caught around the prison, or, I mean, one got to Hopkins, or the area of Hopkins, Siltgrass and City River area, but they were all caught. But majority of them were stayed around that area. Majority of the crime is domestic, drug, or gang related. So if you hear of anybody getting murdered, it's one of those reasons. I think I can safely say, my personal opinion, if you see, well, I don't really want to say, because it's a stereotype. I mean, if it's a expat or somebody getting murdered, they were doing something they shouldn't have been doing. I've been here. I've been coming for 15 years. I've been living here. Well, I've been coming for 5 years. I've been living here for 10. Oh, going on 11. February will be 11 years. And I've had no issues. I've always felt safe. It's a controversial topic, but I've had one person, got mad at me for writing about guns and things like that. I do carry a gun in Belize when I travel. It's because I go to places where there's no cell service and looking at property, things like that. Never know what you're going to run into. But it's not that I don't feel safe. I always feel safe. But if you want to get in trouble, you really know, because it's a small country, you really know where to go, if that makes sense. So, if you look at statistics per capita, yes, Belize is probably going to be one of the most dangerous countries in the world, because there's only 400,000 people here. If you look at the murder rates, probably around 120 a year. I mean, that's, a month in, some of the bigger cities. So in my opinion, you do have petty theft. You do have, you just want to use common sense. You don't want to leave stuff on your golf cart. You don't want to go to the restroom at a restaurant and leave your $1,000 camera sitting on the table. So hopefully that answers your question. Is it Janine is asking, and before we go too far, we do have a poll that's going to be, Jessica's going to put up just about some topics you're interested in. The winner will receive a 1-ounce silver eagle. I like gold and silver. I believe in physically owning it. And if you keep track of it, or if you see what's going on in the world, gold and silver is a good commodity. And so I'm going to give one of you lucky people who are asking questions and on the show today, I'm going to send you a 1-ounce gold eagle. So she'll put that poll up in a few minutes. And if you could answer, one of you that answers will be randomly picked by Jessica or Yolanda. And there it is now. And one of y'all will win that. We'll let you know who the winner is. We'll get your address, and then I'll order it from my gold and silver person, Dana Samuelson. He's out of Austin, Texas, and I buy from him. So do you have to wear a mask on the beach or pool when at a resort? Man, that's a good question. In public, you're supposed to, but if you're sunbathing, I don't see people wearing them. I have not read the statutory instrument on it. You're supposed to wear it when you're in public. So in public, you're supposed to wear it to see who, just to be safe. But if you're at the pool, of course not. If you're swimming, no. But you will have to maintain your 6 foot distance. I'm going to say no, but I will double check that because it's a good question, and I'm not 100% sure on it. Just going to jot down. So I'll jot that down, Janine, sorry, and let you know. Excuse me. Kevin, what's the average cost of insurance on a pickup truck? So we have 2 types of insurance here. We have liability, which is what we would know of in North America, and full coverage, just like in North America. It's called something different here. But I have a 99 Toyota RAV4, and I pay about 300 Belize a year for liability only. I have a 2013 Isuzu D-Max. I have full coverage on, and it's around 1,400 Belize a year. And I just bought in San Pedro, I just brought in a 2018 Nissan Kick, and that one is 2,300 Belize a year. So it's based on price, and then every year it goes down. And both of those, I have glass breakage. I guess I really don't need it too much in San Pedro, but I have it anyways. I drive my truck a lot on the highway, and usually I'm replacing a windshield every year. Golf cart insurance, your motorcycle, that's going to run about 100 Belize a year. And I also have a special report on what is the cost of living in Belize. So I took different areas. I took food, utilities, rent, insurance, all that, and put it in a special report. It's kind of lengthy, and if you send me an email, I can definitely get it to you. We're working on putting it on my Caribbean Capital Group website as well. So the cost of insurance, okay, so we answered that one. Rob, what's the process of bringing your guns into Belize if moving there? You definitely cannot bring them here when you come here. So you're gonna have to store them somewhere safe, in North America. Then once you're here, you apply for a gun permit. Again, if you reach out to me, I can give you a blank gun permit application. And there's a few different types of gun permit applications. And again, I've covered it, but we'll go over it again because we have time. It's there's a concealed and carry, basically it's called special protection. And it's you can carry wherever you want, but it's concealed, right? That's the highest one you have. That's what I have. Then there's a hunting permit. So you can go hunting with this. Then they also have an heirloom one. So a lot of Americans or North Americans are coming in. They love bringing their collection here. There is a process, like it can't be fired. You can't use it to fire, so you have to take out the firing pins and things like that. But you can get a permit to bring them here. It has to go through the police department, and it's pretty expensive if you are just a tourist, on a tourist visa. It goes down in price to $1,500 per gun a year for the application. And then I pay 75 Belize a year for my permit as a Belize citizen. And then once you're here, you can bring it. Once you get your permit, you're allowed 200 rounds at one time. And they're trying to limit, they probably will limit the amount of ammunition you can buy. It's all regulated. You have to show your gun permit when you buy ammunition. What areas Belize is best for farming? So we have different types of soil. And we have Cahoon Ridge, which is the best soil in Belize. And you basically can tell what Cahoon Ridge is when you see a bunch of Cahoon palms. And there's many different areas of that. Then there's Pine Ridge, which is, just pine trees, basically. Reminds me of South Carolina, where I'm from, or Georgia. And that, you can grow some stuff in. So really the question is, what are you wanting to grow? Because that will tell you really where you want to be at. And then you have a mixture of the two, which is Broken Ridge. And so all those are pretty much scattered throughout the country. Like I have 100 acres on, most of it is a savanna type, and we're gonna be looking at putting some coconut there. I have like 25 acres, which is really nice soil. It's a Cahoon Ridge. And I love land, right? So I own a lot of land in my portfolio. So it just depends on what you're looking to farm and grow. And then we can kind of guide you a little more. If you're working with a real estate agent, they can help you. If you're not working with a real estate agent, reach out to me and I can help you with that, or one of my agents can help you with that. I'm a hardworking farm boy from, is it Wisconsin? Believe in helping thy neighbor. Would it be tough to fit in to the local communities? No, man. Kevin, that's one of the reasons why I moved here. I don't live in a expat area. I don't live in a gated community, although we have those. I live with my neighbors. So if you come with an attitude like that, dude, you'll have no problems whatsoever living here. If you come here like I'm better than you, you're gonna have some problems. I know a few people that they talk down to people, they talk down to Belizeans, and yeah, a lot of people don't like them. They don't want to hang out with them. But if you come here and you treat people like you want to be treated, kind of like what the Bible says, you're not going to have any issues whatsoever. I mean, like I said, my house has been broken into once in all that time, and I left a window open. But other than that, I do a lot of volunteer work. I'm on the Humane Society in Placencia. I'm on the fire board in Placencia. I'm a volunteer fireman, doing some stuff with Believe in Belize. Fire department and animals are my baby. So that's where I spend most of my time helping. And, there's people that do Rotary. There's people that volunteer with running clubs, with tutors, things like that. People like that, you're not going to have any issues. So you'll fit in fine. Can golf carts, ATVs be registered? Yes. As a matter of fact, they have to be. The only thing that you don't have to register is a bicycle. So you have to get a license plate, and you have to register your golf carts. Like I have a golf cart in Placencia. I have a golf cart in San Pedro, and I bought a ATV, Polaris. I don't really like it as much. It's more for off-roading, and Placencia has a lot of paved streets. So I'm probably just going to sell it and just, try to get my money back out of it. Just lesson learned. But yeah, they're all registered. I can use them all. They like for you to have the turn signals and the horn, but one of my golf carts don't, and the ATV doesn't. But yeah, you can register it. You have to insure it, and then you can drive it on the road. If considered building a home in Belize, what is your opinion on the process, communication, trust with a builder when the homeowner is not present? I always recommend building when you're here. Now I say that, but if you have the right builder, and if you use a reputable real estate agent, like my firm, and I'm not trying to promote my firm or anything, but most of our clients don't live here, and they know, our builders know, when we introduce you, when we sell mostly lots, right? So we know you're going to build at some point. So we have built relationships with builders, and we have basically told them, as long as you treat my clients right, or our clients right, we're going to recommend you. If you screw them, then we're going to have problems. So there are some builders that not quite as good as communication, but they're really good at documentation and paperwork, things like that. We have some builders that are good at everything. They're good at the process and all that. I just sold a lot, I guess 2 years ago, and they just built a house. They came one time, to pick stuff out. And then COVID hit, and their house was well and finished, and they were real happy. They had a few issues. The builder was right there fixing it. And we have a recommended builder list that we don't promote it out, because we're always changing it. But when you buy a lot, we'll introduce you to the builder. And then we ask the builder to take you, and we'll accompany you as well, to a product that they are building, in the middle of building, a product they're almost finished with, and a product that they have finished. And then we ask them to let you talk to a few of their clients. And that kind of, we introduce you to like 5 builders. And then what you'll do is, there'll be a couple that you really don't jive with. And then we suggest you pick 2 or 3 and get bids for them. Just make sure you're comparing apples to apples. And then you also can hire a company to manage it. Like the client I had, I was always taking pictures for him. I was taking videos for him and sending it to him. The builder was doing the same. So it's always, you always want to be proactive. But we definitely recommend you being here if you can, when you're building, but it's not mandatory, and we've had good success with that. We've also seen a lot of horror stories, right? So it's, it is what it is. Just make sure you have a reputable real estate agent that kind of will help you through the process. There's a bunch of Facebook groups, but just take the Facebook groups with a grain of salt. There's a lot of people on there that have bad taste. They didn't do it right. They didn't get the right information, and they just have, they just want to sour everybody to it. So Kevin, boats, can they be moored if you do not have beachfront property? Approximate cost, say for insurance, Dangriga or Hopkins area. Yes. You really don't want a boat on beachfront property unless you have a lift. Everybody I know that has a boat that live on beachfront property, they put it on a lift. They really don't keep it in the water, or they'll moor it on the beach. I keep my boat, I live on a canal, so I used to keep it in the water on the canal. So if you're buying Canal Front in Dangriga or Hopkins or Placencia or Ambergris Key, there's definitely, those canal lots where you can keep your boat in the water. Since I'm now traveling back and forth so much, I'm not spending as much time in the boat. So I built a little ramp and I winch it out of the water. But there are in Hopkins, there are in Placencia, Belize City. There are places you can dock them, either wet storage or dry storage. So, the price, I want to say for my boat, it's about, I have a 25-foot, like a skiff, a center console skiff. It's about 500 Belize. It is if I store it there. As far as insurance is kind of, most places, they're going to want you to have it like at a dry storage facility. And I don't know what the insurance is. I don't have insurance on my boat. I'm looking into it, but I'm not going to keep it. I personally not going to pay to have my boat stored. So I'm looking for, I think Massey is I think they will do it because I do have security cameras and I do have 2 cameras pointing on it. I think they will do it. It's probably around $1,500, for that. Boats are pretty safe. They really don't want the boat. They want the motor. So that's the problem. And they are starting to put you can do like a low jack for your motor. So everybody I hear that has their boat stolen, they've recovered the boat for the most part with that minus the motor. Looking to grow industrial hemp. So you do have to have a permit to grow that. And that pretty much, I don't know a lot about it. It's something I wouldn't mind looking into on my 100 acres. But I do know some people that got permission to grow it, but I don't think there's any there is some actively growing. I shouldn't say that. But there's definitely some areas. Let's talk offline on that, and we can help you, like where to grow it, and I'll get some more information on that, for you, growing hemp. So I guess you're talking about the soil, right, Andrea? Can I bring my African gray parrot? Yes, you can. There is no quarantine for house pets like cats and dogs. You do have, and again, Andrea, if you want to send me an email, I'll send you the blank permit from Baja, who regulates that, and will give you the permit. There's no quarantine for like a dog or a cat, but an exotic like a horse or an African gray, snakes, you do have to quarantine at your house. So it's not, at a facility or anything like that. I have one client that brought in a scarlet macaw, and they ended up having to move back to the U.S. and the bird was in heaven here because it was its natural habitat. So they ended up donating it to the bird rescue, and so he's living there. So yes, you can bring it in. You just have to fill out the permit to bring it in, and we can help you with that, or your real estate agent can help you with that. You'll have to have, a health certificate, things like that before you come. Would you recommend purchasing a golf cart there or bring with you? I love Belize, and I always try to promote Belize businesses, but Belize has a lot of duty. You can definitely, I brought my golf cart, I brought one golf cart in, and then I have one that we purchased new here. Normally I don't purchase new, I purchase a good used one, but one we bought new, and mine was a 2004 club car. We brought it when we moved here in 2010. I paid like $4,000 for it, all, jacked up tires and all that, and paid little duty, little to no duty on it. Whereas here it's going to be like a 34% duty. So a brand new golf cart here is going to run you around 30 to 40 grand. Belize. So if you want to do the math on that, you know, if it's 40 grand, no, it's not 40, it's 30. If you finance it, it's 40. So what, 15,000? I think you can get a very good one that's less. We do have a club car distributor, and we just got a Easy Go distributor. The new Easy Goes, they say, are aluminum frame too, just like the club cars, or steel frame, I'm sorry. But they're lifetime guarantee of some sort. It's brand new. I just saw the post not too long ago. But you really want to bring in, if you're bringing in anything used, you want to bring in a club car because of the parts and the lasting. Like my club car has been through the ringer, the one in Placencia. I ran it without oil before, and it's just man, it's just really good, and it still runs, you know. But you know, it's kind of wearing down because of the no oil thing. But yeah, you can bring one for sure, and I suggest you bring one. I wrote an article on buying cars in Belize, and we touched on it. So if you're interested in buying a car, again, reach out to me and I'll give you some tips on that. We don't have any lemon laws, so people are bringing in wrecked salvage vehicles and fixing them here and getting a title, and sometimes not disclosing that. So you definitely want to, you know, I buy everything certified used, or I bring it in from the States. So I have a dealership I work with, and that's where I bought my 2013 Isuzu D-Max. I bought it in 2015, and I bought my 2018 Nissan Kick beginning of this year. I'm a state certified general contractor in Florida. Is there a certification process in Belize? No, there's not. You'd have to, you have to get a work permit though, and work it, and then you can just start. You know, and again, what we covered earlier, if you are hiring Belizeans, it's going to be very good for you as far as, you know, helping and all that. There is a difference between building in the U.S. and building in Belize, and there is a process to build here. So reach out to me again offline, and I can kind of go over that. I'm drawing a blank on the name of the board. See what happens when you're getting old. But reach out to me, and I'll fill you in on the government agency in charge of permits and things like that. Kevin. I'm considering properties in the higher elevation jungle in the 15 to 20 minutes away from oceanfront. Can you expand upon the well and septic? Yes, yeah. There's companies that do wells, and there's companies that do septics. The two have to be a certain, you know, certain feet apart, right? I want to say 100 feet, if I remember correctly. But again, Central Building Authority, CBA. Sorry, it just came to me. So the Central Building Authority, if you look up Central Building Authority, they have the application process up there for filling out, and there's a fee per square footage for residential and a fee per square footage for commercial. Yeah, you can definitely, you know, if you're in the jungle area, you can definitely build a septic system and a well. And, you know, if there's a creek or anything, usually you can pull the water from the creek as well. Can we come and rent a condo privately in Placencia, or do we have to use a gold standard hotel for now because of COVID? Most of the condos are gold standard. So majority of the people are getting a gold standard for their condos. You're supposed to stay at a gold standard resort, or a gold standard accommodation, I should say. I shouldn't say resort. So yes, you could stay at like Coco Plum is not a resort, but it's a condo complex, and they have their gold standard in Placencia. And then places like Placencia Point Townhomes or Sunset Point, Laura Bea, Roberts Grove, all those, they're getting their gold standard. A lot of the houses, they're getting their gold standard. But yes, you're supposed to stay at a gold standard hotel because, you know, they're supposed to have certain cleaning criteria. Even at my art shop, I have to have the gold standard for my art shop. So I had to fill that out, and we have to train and things like that. When considering a home on the water, Placencia, I see nice homes on the lagoon. Is it swimmable and SUP friendly? Tell me what SUP is. SUP friendly. Stand up paddleboard. Oh, sorry. Okay, I'm gonna tell you what I do. I live on a canal and I swim in the canal. Lagoon is my all-time favorite. I'd rather live on the lagoon rather than anywhere. And yes, I would swim in it. Yes, I do swim in it. I take my dog and swim in it. Stand-up paddleboard is very popular on the lagoon. Is there crocodiles? Yes, there are crocodiles. Wherever you go in this country, you'll see crocodiles. I see crocodiles on the ocean side. I see crocodiles in the canals. I see crocodiles in the lagoon. They will not bother you unless people are feeding them. And majority of the time, if people are feeding them, they will remove them. I don't recommend doing anything, swimming. Like, I don't swim in the lagoon or the canal from at dusk, like dusk in the evening or early in the morning when they're quote unquote feeding. So I think it's fine. There's a lot of people that say they won't do it because of the crocodiles. In Placencia, we do a flotilla, and it's like me and a few other people get our boats and we pull people. And we start on the lagoon side and we go from bar to bar and we raise money for the Humane Society or the fire department. And we do that, and we've never had any issues. I don't hear of hardly any issues. I've heard of one person getting attacked in San Pedro a few years ago, but they were feeding that one. So as long as you don't feed them, they'll be fine. I help the crocodile research people, ACES, or not ACES, but that's in San Pedro, in Placencia, and we do eye shines. There's not that many. They've kind of moved on because of the developing. I think we have probably around 12 to 20 crocodiles in the whole Placencia lagoon, canals and things like that. We're trying to find them and tag them so we can keep an eye on them, make sure they're safe. So I hope that answers your question on that one. How trustworthy is the Belizean government? I've learned that in many countries that the lawyers on up are corrupt and tend to pick on expats. Is that the case in Belize at all, or are they on the up and up? Whew, you're going to get me in trouble on this one. I mean, hey, it's my opinion, right? In my opinion, governments are corrupt. I don't care if you're talking about Belize, the US, Canada, I don't care. The people I follow, you see government officials going in as business people and coming out multimillionaires. Belize, you hear about it because it's a small country. Right now we got government officials just bought, $100,000, $200,000 Nissan or Toyota Prado, which is I'm sure you know what a Prado is, like a Land Cruiser for like 10 grand. They're buying stuff very cheap. We hear about, government officials giving their buddy land very cheap or next to nothing. Lawyers, I'm not going to say anything on because I don't know. I personally, I have a few lawyer friends. We use lawyers in our business. A lot of times we don't if we don't need to, because it does make things a little more complicated and takes a little bit more time. And a lawyer really just reviews it, but the runner does it anyways. So we just use the runners. We have what we call closing agents. But I never tell anybody what to do. If you're coming here and you want a lawyer, we'll use a lawyer. I recommend 3, 4, 5 of them. I have a personal lawyer that I use, Ryan Warble. He helps me on real estate deals. He helps me when I have issues and questions and things like that. There's 2 ways of doing business in Belize. There's the front door and the back door. If you do everything in the front door on the up and up, you're not going to have any problems. Will it take you longer? Yes. It will take you longer. Can you go in the back door? Yes. Can you get things done faster? Yes. But I also know that those people have a lot harder time. Once you're known that to pay bribes and to pay stuff, you can't get nothing done without paying a bribe. I know people that have paid bribes and still can't get nothing done. So I personally try to do the up and up on everything I do. It takes longer, yes. It's a pain sometimes, yes. I also tip for very good service. So, I'll bring pizza to somebody that's helping me out when I get my stuff done, not as a bribe, right? So we don't get picked on it as expats. I guess, if there's anything you want to talk about in specific, we can do that offline. But I never feel an issue, but I am a respected person because I give back. I'm always giving back to the Humane Society, to the police department. I'm in the process now of buying 2 fire trucks, and one's going in Placencia, and the other one's probably going to go in the northern part of Placencia, Maya Beach or wherever. So we're just got all the paperwork approved. I've been working on it for probably 6 months, but the Charleston C-17s are going to be bringing them babies in, and we're going to I'll hopefully be able to be there, and hopefully they'll be here in a couple months. So hopefully that answered your question, Rob. It's kind of that time to wrap up. I hope I answered everything, and I answered everything I believe in the question and answer. I've not seen the chat box yet, but again, reach out to me. I want you to use me to collapse your time frame. There's no need for you to learn 10 years of knowledge in 10 years when you have somebody like me that can help you in a few months to get done. My mentors, the real estate guys, Robert and Russell, Russ Gray, Robert Helms, it's education for effective action. So I'm here to educate you so you can either buy here or not buy here. It might not be a good fit for you. There's a few people I said, if I was you, I wouldn't move here because of health complications and things like that. So I'm here to help collapse your time frame, and I'm here to help any way I can. So again, I don't have the date exact yet on, maybe Jessica does when the next one is, or Yolanda. But again, we'll put that out in my newsletter. My email's on the chat box. So please let me know of anything I can do for you. Answer any questions. And thank you, Jessica and Yolanda, for helping me. And stay tuned for the winner of the silver piece. And again, everybody, thank you for attending, and stay safe. And hopefully we'll have a drink sometime in Belize, an adult beverage. Thank you very much. And this will be on the on my web channel, my YouTube channel, probably in a couple weeks as soon as we get it post-produced. And they just put the link down there. So take a copy of that, and hopefully you can listen. I think this is my 4th one, and they're all on here. Hopefully I'm getting better. And the ones that I need to answer questions on, reach out to me and I can answer them, and we'll cover them next month on the calendar. I'll answer those live because I wasn't 100% sure on what those answers were. So again, everybody, thank you very much and stay safe.